Willie, so much tragedy over the July 4th weekend.
Yeah, and we've got new details this morning, Mika. The suspect in the July 4th massacre in Highland Park, Illinois, at a 4th of July parade has been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder now after a 7th person died yesterday. The Lake County State's attorney says more charges are expected to come. Investigators also are learning more about the alleged shooter and how long he'd been planning the attack and many of the warning signs, the red flags that went up before he carried out his attack on a 4th of July parade. NBC's Tom Llamas has more.
Investigators revealing the terror and chaos caused by that mass shooting in a Chicago suburb was weeks in the making. The alleged gunman even devising an elaborate escape plan.
It was just chaos. Everybody was running.
The horror began shortly after 10 a.m. during Highland Park's 4th of July parade.
And when I ran back, there was the bodies on the ground. There was a little boy being carried away.
Authorities say the gunman disguised himself as a woman, climbing a fire escape ladder to the roof of a local business. He then took an AR-15 style rifle and fired down more than 70 rounds at innocent parade goers, including children. Listen to this video posted on social media. You can hear a pause as he apparently aims for different groups along the parade route. Police say 7 are now dead, at least 38 injured.
I can see the shooter on the rooftop. I can see flashes from the muzzle coming in our actual direction.
David Salick was watching the parade with his wife and 8-year-old son.
Said we're in the dead zone.
He was firing in your direction?
Yes.
Salick says he threw his son and wife behind a steel park bench to get them out of the line of fire. Just steps from him, 2 people were shot. Today, realizing just inches separated his family from life or death.
I don't want to think about that.
As survivors were left in shock, authorities were tracking down the shooter. 8 hours later, they located a person of interest, identifying him as 21-year-old Robert Crimo III.
During the attack, Crimo was dressed in woman's clothing, and investigators do believe he did this to conceal his facial tattoos and his identity and help him during the escape with the other people who were fleeing the chaos.
Police say he then walked to his mother's house and borrowed her car, driving to Wisconsin, then coming back to Illinois. A resident spotted him in that car and called 911. Police taking him down, the car towed to the police station. A senior law enforcement official telling NBC News he purchased multiple weapons, including the high-powered rifle from the shooting, legally. He left that weapon at the scene. The ATF expedited a trace of it, connecting them to the suspect. The alleged shooter also appears to have a significant digital trail. NBC News has reviewed a YouTube page confirmed by law enforcement to be associated with Crimo. Performing as a rapper known as Awake, his recent music videos include tributes to mass murder. Police revealing 3 years ago they responded to a threat at Crimo's home.
A family member reported that Crimo said he was going to kill everyone, and Crimo had a collection of knives. The police removed 16 knives, a dagger, and a sword from Crimo's home.
Those that grew up with him describe him as an outcast who was troubled.
He had been interested in rifles and weapons. And
Gracie Sklamberg went to school with the alleged shooter.
I could not see him doing that. I think that I have gone to school for 13 years with somebody that's capable of mass murder. It makes no sense to me.
Tom Llamas reporting there. So, guys, this is a young man who just under 3 years ago, as Tom said in the piece, his family called police to the house because he said he was going to, quote, kill everyone. There, police seized swords and knives, a bunch of them, more than a dozen of those, but didn't press charges there. So that's why a red flag law did not kick into effect when he went to buy his AR-15. When he went to buy his guns, there were no formal charges against him. And so there was no red flag and there was no sufficient reason to prevent him from getting the ID that he needs in the state of Illinois to own guns.
Well, we just have to do better as a country. Yeah. We've taken a first step on bipartisan legislation for, you know, it's not gun control. It's not even gun safety, Willie. It's public safety. And this morning, the Washington Post is writing about the need to really start seriously considering a ban against weapons of war, the type of which passed in 1994. But these weapons of war are turning our churches into killing fields, turning our children, our toddlers' schools, and our young children's schools into killing fields, turning country music concerts into killing fields, and turning 4th of July parades into killing fields. There's just no justification for it. There's no justification for it as far as hunting. There's no justification for these weapons of war. When it comes to even protecting your house. I mean, without getting into too many details, a shotgun will do that about as good as anything. So the proliferation, Mika, of these weapons of war continue. And again, even if you weren't for a ban of weapons of war or military-style weapons, whatever you want to call them, let's just say weapons designed to kill humans in war.
Yeah.
In the past, you have to look at what's happened in this country over the past decade. You need to look what has happened from Sandy Hook to Uvalde to Chicago. It just continues. This is going to continue. You said it after Uvalde, Mika. This is not going to stop.
It's not going to.
90% of Americans want expanded background checks, universal background checks. 2/3 of Americans want a ban on military-style weapons. It is time for a small portion of Americans in Congress. It is time for them to stop from us at least having a sensible, sane, rational debate about this.
One doctor at the scene was trying to treat the victims, and he described the wounds as evisceration wounds. So while a shotgun could protect your home, Joe, it's not going to, as more and more assault weapons get out into the country. There are already so many out that one of the issues that needs to be dealt with over the next year or so, if anybody wants to be serious about that, is how to get the toothpaste back in the tube. Is it gun buybacks? How do you get those off the street? Because those guns are not just, single bullets that make a hole. They are bullets that blow up bodies.
Well, and again, the purpose of them, Willie, the purpose of those weapons are to kill human beings. They're not to shoot deer. They're not to defend your home. I can tell you, they're far more unwieldy than a shotgun or a handgun inside your home, in the confines of your home. And again, you don't have to be that good of an aim with a shotgun to stop somebody from coming through your front door. I'm sorry to go into the great details of this, but we need to, because people lie all the time saying, oh, we need military-style weapons to defend our house. Maybe if you live in Fort Knox, but other than that, it really, again, it's so unnecessary, and the cost to this society is overwhelming. And what do we do about it? We start the discussion. Mika talked about gun buybacks. That's great. You can talk about gun buybacks, see if those are effective. But you look at the Second Amendment, okay, there's been a debate for 200 years about what the Second Amendment means. A well-regulated militia. Okay, well, that's fine. If you say all Americans have a right to keep and bear arms, well, well-regulated. Willie, these weapons, all weapons are not created the same, as we know. That's been the reality of the gun debate for years. Yeah. Automatic assault weapons have been illegal for quite some time. These military-style weapons, though, that are extraordinarily effective.
Selling them to kids?
In killing human beings and selling them to 18-year-olds, they need to be regulated. We need to make sure that only law-abiding Americans, sane, rational Americans can get this. And we have to make it a lot harder to buy these AR-15s and these military-style weapons, so we make sure that law-abiding Americans have them.
Yeah, and remember some of the defenses we heard from United States senators after Uvalde, that AR-15s are necessary to shoot varmints or to shoot feral pigs. And we've talked about this a lot, Joe. We respect the Second Amendment, but there is a question to be put to the defenders of the AR-15 being sold to anyone who wants one, and that is, would you trade the remote possibility that you need the AR-15 someday in your life to defend your house for the lives of the kids in a classroom in Uvalde, Texas, or for the lives of the people watching the 4th of July parade, or for the lives of the 86-year-old woman who was shopping for groceries in Buffalo who was mowed down? It's an open question, and it's something that people have to answer. And as you said, a home can be defended with a handgun, a Glock, very well. A home can be defended with a shotgun, very well. But as we know, this has been looked at as a slippery slope. And if you ban an AR-15, if you ban a semi-automatic rifle, the argument goes from the NRA and others, they're coming for the rest of your guns, too. And pretty soon they're taking them all away. That's not true, of course, but that's the argument that has prevailed.